This is interesting, and a couple of laps ago, Tom Christensen turned the fastest lap of the race at a 1:44.
Dyson slowed the circuit, sorry to interrupt, Jeremy. And that is Chris Dyson, 6th place in P1, and this is an awful start to the ALMS Championship campaign for the Dyson Mazda Lola. Looks like he's got no fire there, trying to get the electrics going on. He's running down towards turn number 7. Well, he's crawling down to turn number 7. It's refired.
It's okay. It just shut itself off and now it's all right.
And that is Chris Dyson.
Copy that, Chris.
Telling us and the team what we could guess from the happy sound of a 4-cylinder Mazda 2-litre motor on full song. If you look at the steering wheel that Chris has got, this is unique in the P2 category. Look beside his thumbs, you'll see knurled wheels, blue one just next to his left thumb, just underneath his left hand a gold one.
No, it just shut itself off again. Coming in now.
And now he's got to work out where he is on the track, whether he's going to be an issue. He's trying to restart it. Those wheels are actually for various bits of adjustment, so that you don't have to have the driver reach away from the steering wheel, and they've been pioneering that over the last season or two.
Go back to the trailer, go to the end of pit lane, make a right turn.
He's got it going again.
Before the John Deere Mini S's here, isn't he? So he's got about 3/4 of a mile back to the pit lane.
Yeah. I'm going to suggest that that's cutting out on downshift, as he was going down through the gearbox there. As he entered the Jean de Bianesses, he clicked it down.
Way before that. It was before the kink that it slowed.
Okay.
I think it was coming out. I think it was on that straight after the old water tower turn.
Chris Dyson then to driver's right, coming down the Ullman straight here at Sebring. The number 3 Corvette is back from the pit area, the garage area. Fantastic views here on the Michelin aerial cam from Sebring. Jeremy Shaw and myself, John Hindhoff. We're just over an hour and 10 minutes into the 12 hours of Sebring for 2013. The lead at the head of the field between Treluer and Christensen down to 7.6 seconds. Klaus Graf still leads the ALMS runners. The number 6 Muscle Milk HPD ahead of the number 12 Toyota powered Lola, the Rebellion Lola of Nick Heidfeld, who's 6 seconds ahead of his teammate Andrea Belicki in the 13. The P2 battle starts at position number 6 with Ryan Hunter-Ray and Tom Kimber-Smith for Greaves in 2nd position, David Brabham in 3rd. Problems for the 16. We've seen it have some electrical gremlins on that last lap. It's in the pits now, Jamie.
Speaking with the team, Chris Dyson was reporting a misfire. He did reset the ECU, and they thought that everything was going to be fine. He radioed back to the team and said, no, it just shut off again. We thought they were going to head back to the garage, but they went ahead and brought it to pit lane. Looks like they might take a look at it and plug into the car. They see a lot more telemetry by plugging into the car than they can see transmitted through the signal, so they're going to do that. Went ahead and fueled it. Chris is going to stay in the car during this process. He did overshoot the pit box just a little bit, but they're going to be sitting here for a little while just to see what they can find before going all the way back.
Bad news, good news for some of the teams. There is the confirmation that the number 3 Corvette with Tonio Garcia, who took the car into the pit area. Oh no, and as I've said that, he slowed. There was some damage on the left front of that car. It's been taped over with yellow racer tape, but that car is not up to speed there. That is not running as clean as it should be.
23 minutes.
This lap. We changed the boxes. I don't know. There's some electrical. Everything has changed.
No, they say they changed all the electrical boxes, but clearly not running at all.
Steering wheel, I don't know.
They have had steering wheel problems before on Corvette.
I can hear his demand in the gear, but
it went behind the wall with gear shifting problems. Corvettes have that little bar across the steering wheel that has the rev shift lights on it. You must have a steering wheel on a GT car. You're not allowed to have an open top. Now this is a battle for position in GT. This is the Viper and the recent competition Ferrari returning to the series. Goossens and Beretta, former teammates at Viper, of course.
Yeah, really. And certainly this
Viper
is running beautifully. Number 91 car, Mark Goossens, has been at the wheel of that car since the start and has really done a fine job. He's up now onto the tail of the car that was running in second place earlier in the race. You can see, actually, just a flash out of the picture into the hairpin. Now goes the number 48 Chopard Watches Porsche of Marco Holzer in a magnificent second place. And he's got a goodly lead on these two, but this is a battle for third and fourth. And while we're on the GT subject and cars coming in and out of the pits, Antonio Garcia has brought his Corvette back into the pit lane. Darren Turner, though, in a number 97 Aston Martin that pitted on lap 12, he is back out on the track as well. He's completed 18 laps now, so 10 minutes or so ago, that car rejoined the fray after complaining of Darren Turner. The car was overheating on lap 12.
Just hearing from the team radio that the steering wheel is going to be changed on the 3 as this battle continues apace. Oh my goodness, look at this.
Straight line speed there from the Ferrari, huh? And that's the thing they've been working on over the winter. Different specific aerodynamic specification on that number 62 car this year, and that's what they've been trying to do, is improve the straight line speed.
Got to like that big banger motor, haven't you?
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? Because the number 91 car was definitely gaining on him here. Look at this, a great exit off the corner, off turn 17, and fast goes Mark Goossens in the Viper. Wow.
Olivier Beretta.
Oh, turn 1 out.
Olivier Beretta down the inside. I was just about to say, don't think he's going to give that up, Jeremy. So scored at the line as in third position for Mark Goossens. Beretta, 50 feet afterwards, or maybe a little more than that, decides to take it back. There's a lot of people in Detroit who are watching this very, very carefully and closely. Tommy Milner leads GT from Marco Holzer in second place for the Chopard Watches Porsche. Then this battle for third position between Beretta and Oberlin. They go through the hairpin here at Sebring. Bill Oberlin is up to fifth position for the best of the BMWs. Dirk Muller, his teammate, in sixth. Jonathan Bomarito in the second of the Vipers in seventh position. Good strong early showing for the SRT Viper. In the other classes, in GTC, it's Cooper McNeil now at the wheel of the WeatherTech Alex Job Racing Porsche. Jan Heylen now in second position after the pit stops have cycled through. That puts the JDX car up into second place. Third for Enrique Cisneros in the number 30, the Momo car. And this is because the 27 has had 2 drive-through penalties for pit lane speeding. And that's pushed the pole sitter and the erstwhile leader, whilst in the hands of Andy Lally, down to 11th position in class for Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, I think they might have lost a lap too as a result of those 2 extra. No, not quite. Not quite a lap down, but he's, I think, a couple of minutes behind. Yeah, he is a couple of minutes behind the class leader, so almost a lap down now, Patrick Dempsey, in that number 27 car that led so impressively from the pole in the hands of Ali nearing stage. This battle here for third place in GT continues to wage here. The 62 Ferrari gets a good run off turn 1, but the Viper is even better. Great speed through the corner there from the number 91 car with Mark Goossens. He's able to make the run down to turn 3. Boy, that's an unusual place to make a pass here. Super battle developing.
Ben Trellier coming in at the end of this lap. We're hearing from the Audi team radio, so this will be lap at the end of lap number 42. The 2 car coming in for a driver change. Now that's very interesting because they changed tyres on the last stop. I thought they would have doubled those tyres, but clearly not. They've changed off the compound that they qualified on in the number 2 car. Christensen, however, I mean, that was the right decision, wasn't it, Jeremy? Because Christensen has got that gap back down to 4 seconds again.
Yeah,
and that's less than it was when he went out of the pits. He dropped down to 24 seconds. He was about 4 or 5 behind. And here comes Treluer. No, excuse me, it's Christensen that's coming first. Treluer will go through to complete lap number 43 before he comes in. This is the end of lap 42 for Christensen, for those taking notes, of which Jeremy is one. Pulls in. There should be a small Scotsman about to jump over the wall. There he is, centre of the picture. The diminutive but distinctive form of Alan McNish. And another new set of tyres going on to the number 2 car. Tom Christensen watches on. Did report a vibration earlier on in that second new set of Michelin tyres. Hasn't slowed him down at all. McNish is on board as the fuelling is completed. Now it'll be a set of tyres. Look to the right-hand side of the driver, that little screen that you can see there. That's an additional screen for this year in the R18. And normally...
Radio check, go back to the main, you're still on reserve. I see you're in ASR 12.
Well, Christensen was on reserve there when he came in.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Did you hear that? That was very interesting.
It was interesting. He did 22 laps on that last stint, 21 on the first stint, plus the 2 parade laps.
Yeah. Just going to make the point that those little screens are actually looking or being fed the pictures from the periscope that you can see on top of the air intake on that new for 2013 Audi R18 e-tron Quattro. And the 1 car is due in this time around. So Treluer is now in the pit lane in the number 1 Audi. McNish getting up to speed, and presumably will be a driver change, and it's his tyres, remember.
Yeah, they both came in on the same lap last time around. They both came off 21 laps, but this time the 2012 car does 1 more lap before coming into the pits for Treluer to hand over the control. So that's interesting.
Definitely going to be a set of tyres on this. Jamie Howe is in the pit lane for us.
And it's Marcel Fassler who gets behind the wheel of the car. They do have Michelin's out and ready fuel still going in. They are going to take on new tires this time around. Of course they would with swapping drivers. It is interesting, though, as Jeremy noted, that they decided to go ahead and take the cars off of the same lap on the pit sequence. As I mentioned earlier, only 25 feet for pit stalls this weekend, so it does get very tight when both cars are in. Quick stop for the number 1, and he's out.
So we have to see where they come out in relation to each other. There was 4 seconds between them before this round of pit stops, and the gap had been as high as 24 seconds after the first round of pit stops, where the number 2 car did take a fresh set of tyres and the number 1 car did not.
I was talking a moment ago about the addition to the 13 car. There's some that you can see very much from the outside. That's the 12 car with the narrow rear wing and without the extensions on the rear wheel arches. This is the periscope on the Audi that I was talking about. It's an aerodynamically shaped camera, 2 cameras in fact, that point forward, not backwards on the car. Those images are fed to these 5-inch screens, one either side of the driver, and that is again looking forward, not backwards. Why is it there? Because that big thick A-pillar otherwise restricts the vision. Look at the size of that A-pillar, restricts side vision, and then in front of that you also have the big wheel arches, the fenders, with the driver sitting so low down. It's difficult for the guys to position the cars accurately in the corners. Yes, you get a feel for it, but that's a big blind spot that Audi have just taken away for their drivers for 2013. Just one of the changes that are perhaps not as obvious as those rear fender flares that you have on the back of that car. Just see the H additions to the edges on the number 2 car. That's the number 1 car, and that's the easiest way to tell them apart, to be quite honest. They do have slightly different colourings on the cars, but if you can just look at the back of the rear wing and see if it's got the full width. Should also say they've got a little bit of a just a little bit of a different engine note as well. There's a harsher engine note to the number 2 car. The periscope system, though, has been well received by the drivers. Andrew Marriott's down in the Yost Audi pit.
Yeah, well received, but I asked Alan Nish last night about it. He said, I haven't got time to look at them. So he isn't actually using it. I said, well, what about turn 1, where you go in and the wall's very close? Do you try and look down at the camera, or do you actually look at the racetrack? He said, I look at the racetrack.
He's looking at the racetrack now, and what's ahead of him is this car, the number 1, Marcel Fessler, getting bigger in his vision, because it's now down to 1.7 seconds between the 2 Audi teammates, and I use that word advisedly. Interestingly, McNish had a long chat with Alan about the Corvette radar, which we'll talk to you about later on in this live broadcast from Sebring. And he said to Tom Milner when we were doing the fan forum on Friday afternoon that he doesn't know how he's got time to look at that either, so he's echoing the comment about the system in his own car. This is McNish's view. Well, he's slightly to the right of this, looking forward, and you can just about, Jeremy, see Treluet up the road there. Excuse me, Fessler up the road now.
Yeah, again, you can see how high those wheel arches are on the front corners on this car. They're running the bigger front wheels. I mean, in years past, the front wheels on most racing cars are always significantly smaller than the rears, you know, front visibility really wasn't much of a problem. But with the new technology that's coming over the last few years and the new philosophy of these wider and taller front tyres, it really does make visibility a major problem. And that is why, and we've seen the Audis particularly being involved in various incidents in the recent past.
That view that we're seeing from the onboard camera is actually significantly better than the driver, because it's actually further forward.
Yeah.
The driver's sitting way further back than our camera. Our camera tends to have a wider field of view, although obviously the driver scans his head backwards and forwards. Your eyes don't work very well. If you fix it on one point, you move your head and you move your eyes. You're always looking forward into the distance, and what we are seeing is the back of another Audi coming towards us at a decent rate of knots. New tyres on both of these cars at the last stop. Marcel Fessler and Alan McNish across the line, and there is the Audi freight train, 8 wheels of Audi hybrid power going across the line here at Sebring, and McNish is in full attack mode. Detail changes to the aerodynamics and the drivability of the 2013 R18 e-tron Quattro. Will it be enough to take Audi close or beyond the pace of the new Toyota 030? Well, we'll find out in about 6 weeks' time at Silverstone when they go head-to-head for the first time. Or maybe we won't. Maybe the powder will be kept dry till after Le Mans. But we've got a great WEC season in prospect, and don't forget, here in the United States, that's an ALMS WEC weekend at the Circuit of the Americas later on in the season. Can you see woo and who for that one? I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I was there at Circuit of the Americas a couple of weeks ago for the Rolex Grand Am race, and I tell you what, it's a fantastic racetrack. The viewing facilities there are, well, not going to say second to none, but they are spectacular. Some great races to watch. This is going to be a fascinating stint right now, because the wheel of the number 1 car and number 2 car, the 2 guys that qualified these cars. Marcel Fessler qualified the number 1 car, Alan McNish qualified the number 2 car, and it was precisely 0.009 seconds between them in qualifying. We'll see what the difference is in race trim.
Let's go down to Jamie in the pit lane. Jamie, how for us this afternoon?
We're seeing some P2 stops getting ready to take place, actually taking place now. David Brabham has brought the number 01 from Extreme Speed onto pit road. Thought he was going to do a driver change. Scott Sharp had his helmet on, was up on the wall and ready, but took it off quickly. David is going to triple. He is also going to triple stint Michelin tires. That was another fuel-only stop, so obviously these HPDs are getting fantastic tire wear at the moment.
And that's impressive, because they haven't used this tyre. This is the new tyre that they have been trying from Michelin. Michelin been away from P2 for a little while. Certainly not bespoke P2, or what Michelin call confidential tyres. Much more closely related to the prototype challenge tyres. We're hearing there might be a super soft coming for Long Beach, and then another compound for Laguna Seca. but very impressive tyre longevity, and the battle that we expect to see all season, Jeremy, with the black cars of level 5 and the black and green cars of ESM, very much joined early on here at Sebring.
Simon Pagenaud taking over the wheel of the number 552 car that was leading the class. The previous lap, I think it was just one lap ago, the 2 laps ago actually, the number 41 car, the Greaves Motorsports car with Tom Kimber-Smith at the wheel, that made its second pit stop of the day. Again, Tom Kimber-Smith stayed at the wheel of that car, and the battle for first and second was very, very tight before they came in and made the pit stop. I don't know whether the Greaves Motorsports car did change tyres, but I think we saw a glimpse there of the number 552 level 5 Motorsports HBD. I think they did change tyres. That is why Simon Pagenaud has fallen behind David Brabham in the 01 car, because the 01 car we saw did not change tyres.
Okay, I'll buy that one
So where is TKS on the track? I presume he's out in front, because he should be not too far away from the level 5 car otherwise.
Both of these programs for both level 5 and ESM come together at relatively short notice. We expected a brace of Ferraris for ESM.
So did the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Guy Cosmo, you know, he's loving being back. He was here in O'Reilly, of course, a few years ago. He has done prototype driving before, but he was expecting it. The change came, and then that was the catalyst, of course, for Scott Tucker, who would actually shut down the level 5 racing operation. He was in the process of letting people go and putting dust sheets over things. Heard the news that ESM were coming with 2 cars, and again, him telling me on the grid that the decision, that the fact that swayed his decision was the fact that Greaves were coming over as well, and he wanted to pit himself against the Greaves boys, and that then fired it all back up. They relit the flames underneath level 5.
That's the second place car now in P2. Tom Kimber-Smith is out in front again in the Greaves Motorsports car, so I think it's fair to assume he did not change tyres on that second pit stop. So Tom Kimber-Smith leads in P2 from the 02 of Antonio Lazaro. David Brabham now in 3rd place, and Simon Pagenaud back to 4th.
And here's the GTZ second place battle. Jan Helen doing a double stint from the start of this race in the number 11 JDX car. He's in 2nd place, I say. Enrique Cisneros in the number 30 is just behind. That's the Momo coloured car. And up the road a little bit, Cooper McNeil has made his big bid for freedom as the leaders come across the line, almost together. Marcel Fessler has Alan McNish now large in his wing mirrors, just 0.2 of a second. McNish has been scything his way through the traffic, as, well, frankly, Alan McNish does. It's the Scottish Terrier in him. He just can't hold it back. Fantastic stuff from the Audis at the head of the field, putting on a real display for us here at Sebring. Klaus Graf just about hanging on to the lead lap as the Audis then head down to the hairpin. There's that big new curb on the right-hand side. You can't cut, you can't go into the dirt there anymore. Well, you can, but you're going to risk some damage to the car. We'll take a closer look at that later on. And Fessler and McNish effectively on the same strategy now, both with full tanks of fuel at their last stop, and both with a new set of Michelin tyres. As McNish now, with his teammate ahead, goes past the Corvette. The number 3 Corvette, by the way, still sitting on pit lane with that issue with gear shifting, which may or may not be a steering wheel issue. And I would think not a steering wheel issue. It's been sitting there too long for that to have just been changed over. As Alan McNish inexorably closes in. Takes a very different line through 16 there, doesn't he? Much closer to the right-hand wall than his teammate, and gets great drive off the corner. The 2 Audis almost as one now as they sweep past the Aston Martin and into turn number 1. And Fessler has done enough to stay ahead of McNish for this lap at least. This early part of the lap. Nick Heidfeld starts the next round of petrol pit stops. Is that about right? The 12 car coming into the pits, Jeremy, on lap 49? And while you have a look at that, let's head down to the pits and Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, I've just seen the two Rebellions make their pit stop, 13 first and then 12. 13 they had a driver change, but Leakey got out, and Gong Fu Cheng, Frankie Cheng, the Chinese driver, got in. He's one of two drivers from China taking part in this race. Actually born in China, was the third American Chinese driver. No, I think that was an expected pit stop, no problems down here. But a little bit surprised, boys, that those two cars are not really matching the muscle milk pace as the Delta Wing returns after that long pit stop. Remember, it lost the cylinder. They did reckon it was an electrical problem, so that has been behind pit wall for 3/4 of an hour or so now. And Jamie, you've got more.
And Muscle Milk Picket Racing also taking this opportunity to make their scheduled pit stop. They are doing a driver change. Klaus Groff getting out, Lucas Lord getting into the car. These two practice this driver change non-stop. I was talking to Lucas yesterday, though, and he was really bored because he didn't get much time behind the wheel of the car, so he's certainly looking forward to this first stint today. It is perfectly normal pit stop. Driver change now complete. He's going to get 4 new Michelin tires. Fuel's already done. Team doing everything they can just to stay in the fight, because as Lucas says, you have to be there at the end, and that's when the fun really starts.
Negative. Can do it. So back out and into the race. The gap at the front of the field, blink of an eye, 2/10 of a second. In P2 then, pit stops, we'll let those cycle through. In PC, Kyle Marcelli leads in the Bar 1 Motorsports number 8 from Bruno Junqueira by about 20 seconds or so in the RSR. Whoa, we've got a problem for Lucas Lure out on the circuit. It's 3 wheels on his Muscle Milk wagon. Hearing this on the official net. Now this is the leading ALMS full-time runner. This is lap 50. We're an hour and 35 into the race.
Just come out of the pits.
And Lucas Lure, and there is the confirmation. He is missing an essential component from the left front, and he's got, well, almost all of the lap to do. A real wake-up moment for Lucas Lure in that number 6 Muscle Milk car, and this is a real opportunity for the Rebellions. Got a long way to go, Jeremy, and he's doing a good job. And see how stiffly sprung these cars are. I mean, it's not as if the whole side just flops down, but being a front wheel as it is, there is some contact with the bodywork, and that's not good news.
Yeah, particularly on those right-hand turns, the left front will be dragging a little bit harder on the ground. So, and of course, it's a right-hand circuit here, which is bad news for these guys. But boy, that's a very uncharacteristic miscue there. They just made a pit stop, so one has to assume, for whatever reason, the left front wheel nut didn't go on as they had expected.
Well, there will be already a small inquest going on in the pit lane. Was that equipment issue, finger trouble? Had just come out of the pit lane. Great job by Lucas, really great job by. Look at the way his head goes left and right. He's checking backwards and forwards to see if there's anybody coming behind him. Now, it's the opposite side of the car to where the camera is. There's a Graves car comes, but that's the wheel nut. You just saw the wheel nut fly off there on the left-hand side. And Lucas, well, it could have been a lot worse, Jeremy, because it could have been a faster part of the circuit as the wheel does its best to catch up and hitch a ride back to the pit lane.
Yeah, so it was going into turn 3, so it only made it round a couple of corners before the left front wheel departed the scene. And here now comes Lucas Lure to bring that car back into the pit lane. They'll get a new wheel on it and inspect it for damage and hope it's not too bad. The good news is it shouldn't really damage much at all, because the tub shouldn't make any contact, just a splitter on the front, on the nose of the car. and with a bit of luck, they should just put on another wheel and send it on its way. But the problem, of course, is they've got to make sure that they've got to figure out why that wheel nut has escaped.
Yeah, it's bid for freedom there, didn't it?
Not a hub problem.
Yeah, the wheel nut's definitely not on there, because the other thing is, it's unusual, but sometimes you do see the centre of a wheel pull out. Let's stop speculating, get down to the Muscle Milk pit where Jamie Howe can give us the update.
And the team right now thanking Lucas Lohr for his experience and knowing to get the car back safely first and foremost. The new wheel already on there. It looks like that one slid on, not a problem. And don't want to jump to any conclusion on anything, but the team saying that they are going to sit in that and evaluate the damage on the car, and it was so minimal. They decided not to do anything. They checked the splitter. They did have a quick change front out and ready for Lucas, but they did not need it. So it was a very quick come back in. But we do know that the delta to drive through pit lane is 43 seconds, plus any time spent on pit road. So this costly couple of seconds, what it seems like now, that's what can win a race or lose a race later on. Fortunately for them, though, Dyson Racing has already had some issues today. Rebellion, though, they're in this for the full season. They could get those first place points. So Muscle Milk's got some work cut out for him.
And we have a new leader at the front of the field. Alan McNish, by a second and a half as they came past the line, has gone by Marcel Fessler. And this is how it happens. Coming out of turn number 6 and down towards turn 7. McNish already alongside there. And Fessler has nowhere to go. If you're going to pass a teammate, it has to be absolutely clean. And that was the very definition of that. Alan McNish putting his car all the way alongside and a bit more before he got into the braking area. Looks like the JDX car might have just slowed the exit of turn 5 for Fessler. McNish goes down the inside, he's almost in position, there's the braking area, he goes through, and Fessler disappears on the left-hand side. Now this is from Fessler's point of view, Jeremy, and just couldn't get on the power quick enough there, it seems, from Fessler.
No, that's right, and you know, the GTC car significantly slower through the corner, and Fessler kind of got a bit too close to it. If he'd have kind of backed up a little bit beforehand and let the car go through the corner and make sure he could get on the power when he wanted to get on the power, then maybe that would have prevented the pass. But again, heads-up driving by Alan McNish, and the place change at the front of the field. I think it probably happened on lap 52 or 3. And Alan McNish now leads for the first time. That's the first lead change of the race.
Now you remember that these two cars both took tyres at their last stop, so they're both on the same age of rubber, but we were quite surprised that Tom Christensen at the end of the first stint took rubber, whilst the lead car, which then was driven by Ben Treluer, didn't. We thought it might have been a change in strategy and splitting the strategic load between the two cars, but Jamie Howe has been doing some detective work down in the Audi pit. Jamie, what was the story there?
Well, it certainly did change the strategy, but that was something Audi Sport had to react to. It's not something that they were planning on. When Christensen came into the pits, they noticed that he did have a screw in the tire, so they went ahead and swapped out all 4 of those Michelin tires. Certainly not something that you expect, but Audi Sport's so good. They reacted, they got it back out, and he's still fighting for the lead.
Good detective work there, Jamie. We did mention a little vibration that had been reported by Tom Christensen, and that had the guys looking at the data and picked it up. Most of these cars, if not all of the P1s, running temperature and pressure sensors on the tyres nowadays, as the leaders are embroiled in traffic and, you know, basically rinse and repeat for the rest of the 12 hours. Jeremy, it's going to be like that, isn't it, as far as it goes? On board with Fessler as he pops in another quick lap, and we are an hour and 41 minutes in. We haven't talked about GTC for a little while. It's McNeil, Hale and Cisneros. GT, the usual bun fight down there. Tommy Milner leading from Mark Goossens in second, ahead of Bill Oberlin, who fights his way up to third with the second of the BMWs up to 4th position. And they've quietly, Jeremy, those BMW Z4s have quietly made their way up the field. There's the GTC leader as well, the 22 cars. The 22 car is Cooper McNeil, who is leading that class at the moment.
Yeah, he's got a handy lead over Jan Halen. And talking about the GT battle, what's interesting to me is number 62 car, the Risi Ferrari that was in second place early on, has fallen back to 6th place now with Olivier Beretta at the wheel. I think he must have had some sort of a spin, because all of a sudden he lost quite a lot of ground. I noticed it about 5 or 6 laps ago, and he had been battling with Mark Goossens.
Just checked in with Risi Competizione and asked them what happened and why Olivier Beretta has dropped back, and they said, you know what, we're scratching our heads asking ourselves the same question. We're not sure. When Jimmy was out there, he was running 2:01s. Lap times are still right up there with the GT pace. The pit stop, it was clean. They have no idea what's going on, so the team trying to figure it out as well.
Wow, thanks, Jamie. That is interesting, because I figured he must have had a problem, but a look at the lap times, he's doing 2:03s, 2-minute 03s, and the leaders were doing 2:01s, and you know, he's fallen now, what, 20 seconds behind Mark Goossens. We saw Goossens and Beretta battling for a few laps, the Viper and the Corvette and the Ferrari, but since then, Beretta has lost a lot of ground. So yes, some scratching of heads going on at the Risi Competizione pit.
Joined in our booth here at Sebring by Crowne Plaza BMW driver Andy Prior. Right, first of all, Andy, obvious question, why are you not out there?
Hello guys, how you doing?
Oh, very well.
I was actually over here filming for Crowne Plaza, and I wasn't expected to come down and see the race, but I just couldn't resist it. I've raced here before, won it 2 years ago, and definitely the race is still on my radar to come down and have a play, but a lot going on in DTM and really focusing on that right now.
Have you enjoyed the DTM experience?
Oh, it's been good, but it's emotional. It's tough work. It's a great championship. It's really tight. But you know, towards the end of the season last year, I really started putting in some really strong performances, like I did at the beginning of the year. And it's all about bringing it all together now for this year.
This new BMW Z4 looks a real. Oh, and we've got a fire on the Delta wing. The fire on the Delta wing, right underneath the exhaust pipe. It's just come through turn number 1, heading through the kink of turn 2 now. And on board that at the moment is Andy Merrick, and he will have seen the smoke behind him. And in fact, actually, it's not a fire, it's the engine's gone. The engine has given up the ghost, and there's smoke coming out the exhaust, and it looks like there's some kind of fluid coming out the overflow as well. Andy Prior watching this with us.
That's pretty terminal, I would say. That looks like a cylinder or something to let go, and he's done the best thing to get the car off the track and out of the way. Most important thing now is to keep the contain the fire, really, because that could easily go up in flames quite quickly. But that's a shame, because it's a great looking car, and it's always sad to end the race so early. I'm
going to say that there are some flames underneath the svelte rear cowling of that futuristic looking car, clad in chrome wrap for this race. Andy Merrick is exiting stage right, and it's going to need some attention by a fire marshal relatively quickly, and we have a full course caution as we watch this with BMW driver Andy Prior. And there, in fact, is one of the Z4s going across the line. Let's track back, coming out of 17. That's not looking good there already, Andy.
No, it's puff of smoke, and it's obviously started to let go, and then there's obviously a big bang down past the start-finish line, or just into turn 1. So, yeah, that's a shame for the car.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of strain on that engine across there, up into top gear, and in fact, as he's lifted off and turned into turn 1, it's given way. Let's go down into the Delta Wing cars pit. Dave Price is with Andy Marriott.
Yeah, Dave, bit of a disaster here, to say the least.
Yeah, it's been a difficult week.
You had high hopes of going the distance. Everything was running well in the final session.
Well, it was really good in the warm-up. I mean, we was quick enough, and it seemed to be going okay. I don't really know what's happened now, to be honest. We had an injector problem earlier, which is the best car we had. It took us a bit of a while to fix it, and I haven't got a clue what's happened now.
Now, you've got the coupe coming. When will you race that?
Well, Laguna is on the programme to debut in it, but I guess that might be a bit premature, to be honest.
So it doesn't look as too much, Dave. You're going to try and get it back, Dave, and try and get it running again?
No, I think what's happened now is pretty terminal.
Thanks very much, Dave Price. Time for a cup of tea, Dave, for both of us.
Yeah, I think so, mate, yeah.
get the brew on. And the Hrs of Safety team are on site very, very quickly and have made sure there's no further damage to the Delta Wing. That will go back to Brazelton, and there'll be a debrief and some thinking. Just underlining, this is not exactly the same configuration or indeed the same team that were running this car last year. It's a new engine, it's a new tyre supply, and effectively, all bar the chief engineer, Jeremy, pretty much an all-new squad running the car.
Absolutely right. Yeah, Ben Bowlby no longer, who's the originator of the Delta Wing concept, he's no longer part of the program. Simon Marshall, who's been with Elan chassis development for a long time, from Lola before that, he's still on this project, and it's his baby now moving forward, as you say, with the coupe coming on stream later this season. Yeah, they've done an immense amount of work in a very short period of time, and Dave Price was telling me earlier in the week he was only even asked about it in mid-January, and so you know it's come together in a remarkably short period of time. The Bridgestone tyres, they've been working very, very well on that car. That's interesting to see Bridgestone back in this series after a long time absence. And also that engine, I mean, boy, 6 weeks is not long to develop a race engine, is it? So I think it's absolutely amazing they're able to get the thing running here at all. They had some overheating problems early on in the week, and clearly that's, you know, I think had a bit of a knock-on effect here, but just to run at all, I think is quite remarkable.
It's our first full course caution here at the 61st Annual Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, presented by Fresh from Florida, John Hindhaugh, Jeremy Shaw and Andy Prio in the...
Clearly that's, you know, I think had a bit of a knock-on effect here, but just to run at all, I think is quite remarkable.
It's our when we come back, well, let's see who decides to take this opportunity for a pit stop.
Prototype cars next to GT cars. 30, 35 cars, all different speeds.
We are racing. Colin Brown back to the lead. It's now or never for Lucas Law, and it's now. The white flag is flying.
Nice job, buddy. Awesome job.
This is the American Le Mans Series.
When it comes to full-contact motor racing, nothing compares to the half-mile high-banked Bristol Bull Ring. Title contenders Sam Hornish Jr., Elliott Sadler, Austin Dillon and Brian Vickers will battle each other at the track and a host of Sprint Cup stars on the Tennessee circuit. Motors TV will have delayed coverage from round 4 of the 2013 season, Sunday, March the 17th from 3 in the afternoon.
Live on speed, Marcel Fassler having things pretty much his way as his Audi and his Audi teammates have run pretty much uncontested. There's a look at the 5 class leaders right now from Sebring. Scott Sharp leading at P2, Bruno Junqueira in the Continental Tire Prototype Challenge category, Richard Westbrook in GT, and Cooper McNeil in GTC. Plenty of action from the drop of the green. It was an all-Audi front row. Benoit Trillier would start in the number 1 Audi and lead his teammate Tom Christensen into turn 1. But an angry mob behind. Antonio Garcia in the Corvette into the back of the Prototype Challenge entry driven by John Bennett. Garcia will serve a costly penalty, a stop plus 60 seconds. He's saying, why? Why? Well, a little argy-bargy. And then later, a problem, a transmission woe for the number 3 Corvette, and Garcia would have to drive the vet back to the paddock. Extensive work. Problems for the Delta Wing early on. Electronic gremlins cutting down the power to one of the cylinders. It was not electronics this time. That is mechanical, and that is terminal. The Delta Wing debuting a new power plant, and Bridgestone tires is out. More problems on the racetrack. The 97, the Aston Martin. 2 entered, but the 97 in 2013 spec has had some contact on the racetrack, and that leads to overheating.